All right, I have 6 o'clock. Welcome to the May 1st Board of Allyn Commissioners meeting. We're going to start our agenda off with Pledge of the Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So just one housekeeping issue. We are now videotaping our meetings. So during the public comment section, we're going to ask that you come up to the podium, speak up there. We're going to go through our regular agenda items here first. Under our consent items, we have minutes of regular meeting April 3rd, 2017. Take a motion to approve the minutes of April 3rd.
Well, Commissioner, I give a motion to accept consent items 2A and B, which is the minutes and the financial reports, which I've read.
We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I think we have a change here.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the wording,
Which one, the minutes?
yeah, the minutes,
So is it a change from the public or a commissioner change?
public.
Okay.
Maybe it's, if you want to ask. Maybe I have to get to that part.
Okay, have your pen, Leanne.
Here, you can borrow mine.
So what is the change?
What is,
Is it to the minutes or to the financial report?
and
Ken,
who is
can you come to
making
the
the
podium?
change?
Sure. Thank you. For the record, Ken Van Buskirk. I just wanted to point out regarding the minutes of the April 3rd meeting, I did question why the item wasn't discussed about a levy lid lift, but the response that you gave me at the meeting was that it was removed from the agenda because the commissioners hadn't had time to review the supporting materials in the packet, and nothing was said about the commission wasn't in support of it. I just wondered if you'd take that as a friendly amendment to the minutes.
Can you repeat that? So what was in the packet that we were unaware of?
Well, you told me you hadn't had time to review it. It was a matrix of a possible levy lid lift from 18% to 45%.
18%
18
of
cents.
what?
Oh, 18, whatever it
Cents,
was.
Yeah, to 45 cents
Yeah, and
per thousand.
when I asked why you didn't have a discussion on it, you said that you had taken it off the agenda because you hadn't had time to look at it, but there was no mention about the commission wasn't in support of the board is not considering any increase at this time, so it was removed from the agenda. That was never talked about.
So we're not considering an increase. So
I know,
saying
but
that
you never discussed that in the meeting, that you were not considering an increase. All you said was that you hadn't had time to look at the material.
So what would your amendment be, that we're not considering an increase?
No, my friendly amendment would be that you suggested that you hadn't had time to consider the material. That's what you told me.
Is that what we said during the meeting minutes or during the meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Larry
yeah.
had mentioned that because Ken had asked about that previously.
So you
And
would like
so-
us to amend the minutes to say that we haven't had time to review?
That's what you told me.
Matrix.
I mean, I'm glad the meetings are recorded now so that there's no confusion, but when I saw this, that's not what was said. You didn't have any discussion at all about it.
What's the friendly amendment?
That I guess you tabled it because you hadn't had time to consider the materials that was in your supporting documents.
Gene, do you want to make that amendment?
Sure. I think we can just make a change to the meeting minutes, but just.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. take out not considering an increase at this time and just say that we had said that we didn't have time to review it, and that's why it was taken off the agenda list.
Okay, I'll take that motion and just say with the corrections from
Okay, we're going
Mr. Van
to
Buster.
amend the motion with the input from Commissioner Farmer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. She did second that, right?
I'm sorry.
On to action items, number 3, A, B, and C, general vouchers, payroll vouchers, water fund vouchers.
Okay, I move action items, general fund voucher, $5,903.74. Payroll vouchers, $14,250.65. Water fund vouchers, $295.18. I move that we accept those as submitted.
Motion on the floor, do we have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Commissioner reports? Judy?
You guys want to go first?
Jean?
No, go ahead, because I can't think of anything right now.
Okay, I'll try to make this quick. Well, pretty much it is quick. April 3rd, of course, the regular port meeting. April 4th, we have the Sergeant Oyster House meeting with the North Bay Historical Society. And there were about, 5 or 6 of us, Dell? Yeah. And so we're moving forward with that. On the 6th, Bonnie and I did a presentation to the Rotary Club about the Sergeant Oyster House project. And it was really well received, and there was a lot of people that didn't really understand about what we're doing, and so we're really excited about it. It was really a really good reception of it. And then April 6th, I'm sorry, the 4th was when I went, April 6th, DNR focus group. There's usually about 28 people. As you well know, that's a pretty important economic impact in our area, so I try to go to that all the time. And in conjunction with that, April 22nd was Earth Day, so we had a Tahuya Forest cleanup day, and usually I feed everybody. There's about 30 people that go out and clean up the forest out there. We stage at Oak Patch, and so it is really a lot of fun. And then April 21st, PRTPO, which is Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization, and I'm not sure if you want me to go over any of that right now. One item of note that is kind of important, and there is a packet there, of one of the things that Kitsap County is doing, which this can help everybody. They're doing what they call a travel demand model, and they take all of the information about all of the roads, and there was a grant through PRTPO that did this model, and what they do is get all the data, not only of the road usage, but how the transportation moves and what kind of jobs there are out there. And all of this will be available to any entity that needs this kind of information, whether it's for economic development or anything. And it will be ready in late June. So just wanted to keep you up to date on that. That was one of the highlights of it. There's also, they mentioned about a corridor sketch. They had a meeting, and a corridor sketch is where they're going through, at this time, the meeting was April 25th. They had information about, I think, five major roads in Mason County that was important. And if you'll take a look at this, if you guys want to take a look at any of this information, this was their PowerPoint presentation. I had to leave early, so I wasn't able to get all the information. But one of the highlights that I felt really important was Highway 300 and how dangerous it is, and what we can do, what WashDOT can do about fixing some of those issues. There were a lot of WashDOT staff there that understood some of the important problems with it. So with this kind of looking at these things, and that means it can be on their lists for fixing those, the road problems. Loretta Swanson, who works with Mason County, she talked a lot about the issues here in Allyn as well. and safety issues that needed to be done. Let me see. I think that's about it for PRTPO. And then North Mason Community Voice, Lynn Longan from EDC spoke, and we had, kind of a small crowd, but at least it was really nice to see her up here. Another item too, Blacksmith Road Maintenance. I have property up there, and it's just a rental, but they have had a dirt road for a very long time, and there's usually only like a handful of people that do all the work. So they are interested in trying to get a road improvement district. So I just want to let you know I'm going to volunteer on there to see if we can help and if there's something that we can work with the county and all that. There we go.
All right, thanks, Gene.
Just not too much, just our regular meeting for the month, and a couple of notes of interest. Had a beaver dam breach this weekend
yeah,
over
I heard
here.
about that.
It was huge. It was,
It's happened before there?
yeah, and so we went over
Victor?
there.
Victor
In
Drive,
Victor,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was right kind of midway through. And so, of course, the water all came through somebody's yard and house and everything. So it was a lot of water. It was definitely a lot of water. And then let everybody know there's a gray whale out here.
Was there?
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
it was out the past few mornings over by Cronquist Road over by Grapeview. And he's been out there, I think, 3 mornings, so if you get a chance, take a look.
Cool.
Cool. I went to the regular port meeting. I did come in because I had a question about the vouchers. They didn't match, so I met with Leanne and Jan. It was a payroll question. We were unable to figure out what the discrepancy was. I came in a second day, and Larry and I worked on it. We found the discrepancy, which was the voucher didn't match the payroll amount, and it's because it was last year's payroll amount. But as we looked further, we felt that there might have been a mistake in the payroll amount. So I'm going to recommend that we do a workshop to try to get to the bottom of it. We corrected it. I came in again when Jan did payroll, kind of explained to her what I thought I had seen there, and we kind of all agreed that that was the right amount.
So
if
it
we
didn't
could-
add up?
the numbers weren't working. I couldn't get them to add up. So we made some corrections, but now we have to get together and probably modify the director's contract so the right amount of payroll is on there and we have it on record.
Was it a large amount or just small?
No, I think the insurance might have got added in twice.
Oh,
So we'll,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Good.
I did have lunch with Randy Netherland. I don't know the exact date, but he had approached me at EDC and said there was a potential site up near Log Yard Road. The county's looking at it, MTA's looking at it. I think it's up there by the sewer plant, and just thought that it might be viable for us if we were still looking to do a business park. Said it would not be viable for a sports complex, which he thought was kind of our prize project that we were working on. I said, nope, we got business park in our objectives as well, and that I would bring it to you guys I told him that we've already got Larry out looking at property for projects, and it's a Overton piece, and
That's what I was going to ask.
yeah, so Larry can meet with David Overton because we've already given him that direction to meet with property owners for any of our projects. And
Do you know how many acres it is?
it was 5 or 10,
Okay.
but nothing else. Price or
an option for five,
yeah. So I don't know if Overton's have contacted you or if you're going to contact
yeah. I'm gonna
Overton's, but
contact him.
I moved it off to Larry. EDC meeting was kind of a regular board meeting. Nothing of importance came out of that. And that was it. I would like to schedule that workshop though before we go home tonight because
Okay.
sometimes we forget and we go home, and that's it for me. Executive Director's Report.
All right, meeting videos, as you can readily see, in the interest of increased transparency, as you approved at the last meeting, we're now videotaping our meetings. They're also being live streamed. There'll be a link on our website to the YouTube channel where people can go and watch the meeting. Because the camera's in a fixed position, speakers wanting to address the commissioners will have to come to the podium and speak rather than speak from their seats as they've traditionally done. Website update, we're in the process of updating our website. We've simplified it by eliminating the things we didn't really use and reorganizing materials on it in a more user-friendly way. We'll be adding a public records request form and facilities reservations form. We should have those in place hopefully this coming week. We've also linked it to our Facebook page, and now it is scalable for mobile. Allyn Community Association request. We've received a request from the ACA to be allowed to build a storage shed on port property to store all their Allyn Days materials. They're currently looking for a way to save money on that storage. I've put this on the agenda for discussion. Skateboard park. Gene suggested we look into the idea of building a skateboard park. I was somewhat involved in the one built at South Kitsap Regional Park, so I got at least a working knowledge of how these go together. Excuse me. Big question is the location for these to be successful, and by that means having kids actually use them and not have them become graffiti magnets. They need to be within walking, skating distance of where kids actually live. The one at South Kitsap Regional Park is very successful because it's centrally located within walking and skating distance of about 1,000 homes. By comparison, the one in Silverdale is covered in graffiti and doesn't get much use because it's located next to a freeway interchange and it's not close enough to the residential areas to make it close enough or easy for kids to get to. With this in mind, Beards Cove and Lynch Cove are probably the best prospective places. I've written a letter to the Beards Cove Association manager asking about covenants, restrictions, and similar issues. He will present it to the Homeowners Association board to see if they're even interested in having us do this at their next meeting. To do it, we'll need to acquire some land, although there are grants available from RCO for those purposes. If the association allows us to move forward and you all decide to move forward. Leanne also tells me a similar project was on the port's radar some years ago, and that some plans had been drawn for a skateboard park next to the existing basketball court outside. So if you want to move forward, we can try and locate those and see what we have, and that's also a discussion item on the agenda. Water system issues. Todd Krause of Northwest Water Systems has assigned this to a subordinate. He tells me the May 30th submission deadline submission date is still viable, depending on some additional documentation he needs, which he told me about in an email at 4 p.m. on Friday. After considerable prompting for information about where we are on this. We will have that documentation to him this week. Excuse me. Also, our water system franchise agreement with Mason County is up for renewal this year. The county has 27 agreements that need to be renewed this year. However, we don't yet know if we're in the first group, which is the June-July time frame, or the second, which is September-October. We don't have to do anything more than we've already done at the moment. They'll send us information as we get closer. We've already obtained an updated evidence of coverage insurance form from Honduras, and the county will send us a copy of their required form when it's time, so we're good to go at the moment. As I noted previously, I've negotiated our costs with Northwest Water Systems not to exceed $7,500 for the submission of the plan and kept Joe Brogan in the loop on all our communications, just in case. Gazebo bricks, time to work on this again. I've written a story for the news media I'll submit this week, and we should have enough response to be able to sell a lot more bricks. We can add 26 of the larger bricks at a sale price of $250 each and another 60 smaller bricks for a total of 93 small bricks. Cost of the project is approximately $4,500 to do it. Revenue is $15,008 for an estimated profit of $11,300. Derelict vessel, as I've said all along, I didn't expect the sale to bring much at auction, certainly not enough to pay the mortgage costs, plus all our administrative costs. However, it's my understanding the DNR will reimburse us for 90% of our costs, We've submitted all the paperwork. We expect to receive in the neighborhood of $3,500. Buy a software upgrade. Excuse me. I spoke with Bias again this last week and alerted them we will be moving forward. We settled on July 1st as a date to start the conversion. However, what that will entail is us filling out spreadsheets and other paperwork for them so they can get us set up. Once we're set up, we'll begin training. Our actual conversion date, however, will be January 1, 2018. So we will remain on QuickBooks until year's end. I talked to her about the payments. We don't have to make the first half of the $48.18 annual fee until next year, so we can include that in next year's budget. We'll have to make the $38.05 one-time startup fee sometime near the end of the year. However, depending on the setup and training times, they will invoice us near the end of those, and we have 30 days from billing, so it's entirely possible none of this could come due this year at all. Eberhard legal cost reimbursement. I spoke with our representative from Honduras last week and again at 5 minutes to 5. And he assured me we will receive the check, which should be in the neighborhood of $85,000. Either before this week is out, hopefully, but if not, within the next 10 days for certain. I recommend we allocate those funds as follows. Pay back the IDD fund $30,000, which is in the general budget. Fund the reserve account at $25,000. We budgeted $20,000, so I'd like to add $5,000 more. Convert to bias $62.14. That's our upfront cost plus half the annual cost, but as I just said, we may not have to spend any of that this year. Belfair wayfinding sign $2,500, which is in our capital budget. Oyster House $5,000, although our capital budget has $10,000. Public records OCR software setup $7,500. We budgeted $5,000 for public records. I'll talk about this in a little bit. This will leave us between $9,000 and $10,000, depending on how much the Honduras check is, plus approximately $62,000 that we have budgeted and won't have to spend from our property tax and other revenues. So barring any surprises with our budgeted cash carryover of $43,503, it's possible we could carry over more than $100,000 into 2018, even after paying the unbudgeted $7,500 to Northwest Water Systems. Allyn boat launch dock repair. The hardware securing the dock at the Allyn boat launch failed during the recent storms at several of the pilings. We secured the necessary hardware. Repair has been done with no other damage. Okay, going back to the public records issues, we're in a holding pattern on this at the moment. I'm convinced the best, most workable solution appears to be what we originally concluded, converting our existing documents to OCR electronic files that can be read with keyword software, storing them in the cloud for future retrieval. Should be a fairly easy solution to implement once we find a cost-effective vendor. We've talked with vendors where the price has been anywhere from about $7,000 to $60,000. Just depends on the vendor. We originally thought Kelly Imaging offered the most viable option, but it thought at the time it was too pricey. We've done webinars with a number of other potential vendors, but after talking to them, Kelly is beginning to look like the best price, although it exceeds our established public records budget. Meanwhile, I'm continuing to research other vendors, so we're still on hold for a little while longer. But at some point, we're going to need to make a decision on moving forward or not. New computer for Leanne. We're still having some issues trying to migrate all of her data from her old machine to her new one. All of the cloud-based data is moved, but it's the older data in QuickBooks that's giving us trouble. Charles is on the case. Renting out the small office, when this was brought up last month, there was no real consensus about moving forward on this or in exactly what way or not. So that's something you might want to talk about. Entrepreneurial classes, we're continuing to hold these classes here, and in fact had one here this afternoon. Coder Dojo classes, to be honest, I haven't had much time to work on this. It's also in a holding pattern for now. I expect to be able to focus on this again towards the end of May. It's something I strongly believe in. Another project on hold is ROII, awaiting a decision from Allyn as to whether or not we're eligible as part of the Builders Association. But I've also begun looking at other business associations with similar plans for us to align with as members. AWB is a strong possibility, waiting for more information from them. LTAC money, I attended the last LTAC meeting. Seems the county is trying to hire an executive director to run what is essentially a visitor and convention bureau. I wasn't clear on whether or not they're going to replace the Blue Collar Group, which has been marketing Mason County through the Explore Hood Canal website or not. I also made sure to get on the mailing list for LTAC. Next LTAC meeting is July 27. That meeting will be to review and make recommendations on awards for the 2018 Visitor Information Center Services and Tourist Development Promotion. RFPs will go out for advertising for applications for the money by the middle of this month. Trade show booth, we're putting together a professional looking trade show booth to replace the haphazard setup we use now. Spent some time looking at what other folks use and came to the conclusion we can do this for about $1,000 using several pop-up stands like the one we already use. Nice thing about those is they're portable. Hardware is reusable if we want to change out the images from time to time. Cost of changing the images is under $100. Water at the Allyn Marina. As I reported last month, they came across an RCO grant for exactly this type of project. Because of the short time frame, the main hang-up has been getting a realistic handle on costs of the project to submit for the grant. To qualify for the grant, we needed to have an engineer's estimate, so I engaged Art Anderson and Associates for that. They're a highly reputable Bremerton firm that does marine engineering and more, and they are on the MRSC list, so we didn't have to go out to bid for that. They designed Port Orchard City Hall, currently working with ports of Shelton and Bremerton on several projects. We're working directly with Ben Anderson, who's the CEO and also the current board chair of the Kitsap BDC. Grant requires a 25% match, but part of that can be in-kind, including our own labor and materials. I spoke to Don about running the water line down there. We need a larger line. He can do that. His time and materials would count against the in-kind. We could fund any balance of the match with the loans from the IDD or out of our capital budget, but we can cross that bridge when we get there. We're almost finished with this and still have until midnight tomorrow to submit the grant, so we should be in good shape. County's grant writers that should review it before we submit. Potential business park sports complex property. I met with Commissioner Netherland and Dr. Brian Peterson recently at Commissioner Netherland's request to discuss our interest in securing development property directly adjacent to the proposed MTA park and ride. If the east side of Highway 3 site is selected, we'd be looking at 5 acres of Overton land with an option on an additional 5. I told them to bring me a proposal and I would present it to the three of you for your review and a possible decision. WPPA spring meeting. WPPA spring meeting is set for May 17th to 19th at Suncadia. We've made hotel reservations for myself, Scott, and Judy. The block of WPPA rooms was gone the first day, which is when we called. But I did get us reservations in the adjacent condos. I registered myself with WPPA, but until Scott and Judy know for certain whether they're going, I've held off registering each of you because there's a $75 cancellation fee. I can cancel the condo reservations at any time with no fee. Other meetings are the Finance and Administration Seminar, which is June 14th through 16th at Semiahmoo. Executive Director's Annual Seminar is July 12th through 14th in Long Beach. Small Port Seminar, October 25th, 27th in Leavenworth, and the annual meeting, November 15th to 17th in Seattle. WPPA appointment, I reported last meeting I had been appointed to the WPPA Legislative Committee. I was already a part of the Economic Development Committee. WPPA's new Government Affairs Manager has asked me to serve on the Marina Committee as well. And finally, vacation. Since I didn't take nearly as much time off from my hip surgery as I originally anticipated, and still have 4 days of vacation from 2016, plus I didn't take any vacation time at all in 2015, and still have some sick days accumulated. I'd like to take off July 18th to 25th, the week after Allyn Day. planning a baseball game road trip with Bryce.
I think you've earned a 7-day vacation.
Yeah, really.
I have 3 questions on your report. The gazebo bricks,
Yes.
can we make sure to cash those checks that are sitting in there?
Yeah, we will. Now that we know we're gonna go forward,
Okay.
I didn't wanna
Right.
have to go through the bookkeeping back and forth of.
Of the refunds.
Yeah. And then the second one was the public records. I'm sure you will do this, but let's make sure it's very user-friendly.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. And the LTEC money, I have questions because I served on that committee. And normally, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it about this time of year they're meeting and deciding what festivals they're going to support for the summer and fall? Pretty close.
But not of this year, it would be for next year, usually. They've already figured out 2017. Usually.
Okay.
Used to be.
I can't remember when they used to meet.
We were always behind the association, but we were usually getting them in October.
Of last year.
Like if we did October this year, it'd be 2018 that they would award or wouldn't award us funds. So we were always, having to get it in the year, so to speak, the year ahead.
I think probably the good thing to do would be find out who serves on that committee and then find out what their schedules are.
Yeah, I went to the meeting and who I saw there was Heidi McCutcheon,
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Roland.
Terry,
Yeah.
and somebody else. I can't remember who it was now. And that's all that came to that particular meeting.
Heidi's a good
myself.
source to talk.
Yeah. She's been very helpful to me for a number of things.
I know it says it right here, but we have to have that grant submitted by midnight tomorrow.
Midnight tomorrow.
That's gonna happen.
Yes.
Has Ben give us an engineer's estimate?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay.
I've already got that. I'm waiting on prices on pavement for the parking. And I'm supposed
Okay.
to have that by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning.
And the grant would include,
Power and water to the pier for 12 moorage slips, plus the power pedestal and all of the engineering and everything else to go with it,
in paving of the parking lot?
and paving the parking lot.
That's
How
up
much
there, right?
area, how much square footage of the parking lot?
I'll know tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Don
Okay.
made a drawing for me that I know how to figure out square footage
Okay,
when, like, both sides are equal.
yeah.
Should've called Jeff.
I don't know how to figure it out the other way.
And a pay station?
Pardon?
And a pay station?
And a pay station.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question, how many people showed up at the classes? I'm
Oh, yeah.
excited to hear about the
They had a
classes.
handful. I didn't come down here and count, but it was 4 or 5 cars out there.
Good, we talked about that at North Mason Community Voice, and we just need to get the word out, because there's a lot of people interested,
Yeah.
but they didn't know about it.
Well, I put it up on our Facebook page,
Mm-hmm,
but now once we get the website finished up, we got a place for community stuff on the website that we didn't have before.
great,
There was an income
That'll go
cap
out, too.
as well. You had to make
okay.
this certain amount or less, or you couldn't participate.
But they didn't even know about it. Many people
Oh, they
didn't even
didn't?
know about it,
Okay.
so.
Well,
We
I
just
know
need to get the word
EDC
out.
has promoted it, and the Chamber's promoted it, and we've promoted it.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that we haven't, but just, like even at the hub, there's a lot of people there and a big variety of economic, diversity
They had a flyer
there.
there.
Did
I
they?
noticed that at the Chamber meeting.
Oh, good, okay.
So.
All right,
All right.
just pass it on.
Thanks, Judy.
Mhm.
Security report. Travis? Oh, yeah, going to the podium.
That's right.
Look, where are you going?
You said that we had to come up here if we were going to address you
I
guys.
thought you were leaving.
So. No. I didn't want to walk in front of the camera. I'd get a shot of my back.
Thanks for being smart about it.
All right. Security report. Not much going on. There was a few incidents. We did have a gentleman that decided he was going to sleep right behind that door. And he was actually somebody that had been trespassed here criminally 2 years ago. So he wouldn't leave, of course, from me talking to him. So Mason County Sheriff was involved. They finally showed up, kind of herded him off the property, and that was kind of the end of that. It didn't really turn into any kind of physical incident or anything, but he was extremely intoxicated.
Did you find them there, or did somebody?
No, I found
You
him.
found them?
Yeah.
I've also talked to Don about putting a gate up there.
Okay.
Yeah, and that should help solve the situation of being able to hide in that corner where the heat pump used to be. Traffic in the park is starting to pick up. The daylight hours, of course, have increased, so we're getting more and more people around. But they're all pretty cordial, and we haven't had any real incidents. The gentleman that was stealing power from us at the North Shore has not returned.
Oh, good.
We provided him notice that he wasn't allowed to come back, and he has not come back. So hopefully that solves the issue.
What's the plan for Saturday?
Saturday,
That was my
like
question too.
5:50, I'll be there. Does that work?
PM?
Oh, PM, that'd be fine. I'd
All
prefer
night.
PM. No, I'm busy 5:50 PM
Are
on
you
a
taking
Friday,
that
so
5:50 shift?
it'll have to be
I'll
AM.
take the next one.
Take the next one.
Larry, you gonna be down there?
Dawn's usually there too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, between Dawn and I, we've never had any real
Was
issues.
the pay station up last year when?
Yes, the pay station was up last year.
Okay,
Yes.
so that helps a lot.
Yeah.
It helps a little bit, sure. It's really more of us being down there is to really kind of keep the traffic flowing properly and get people to park in a manner that creates the most parking spaces available, so we have less people parking on the road. But we're
So
still
if
gonna
y'all-
have,
If y'all don't know, Saturdays is opening day shipping season. So that's why.
probably our busiest, is the
Yeah.
busiest
Yeah.
day of the year
Yeah.
for us, so.
The day I was down there, I jumped somebody's boat with a dead battery. I backed somebody's boat
Okay.
because they couldn't get it.
Right,
I pulled somebody's boat out because they couldn't do both and it was busy, so,
right.
yeah, it's just having an extra hand down there I think is helpful. and,
Sure,
you know,
because
we're-
sometimes, I mean, you get somebody there that really isn't very proficient at getting their boat in
Yeah.
the water, and it really clogs things up.
When
'cause-
there's 20 people waiting for you, it makes it
Right.
even worse.
Yeah, 'cause I've seen it almost get backed up onto the road.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the last thing. Yeah, I don't think it was last year, we did have someone park on the road, and they parked their trailer over the white line. And somebody called the cops, and the cops came down, and they had him towed. And so when he
Blocking the
came
road.
back, he didn't have his vehicle there to pull his boat out, so.
That's
we-
actually kind of entertaining.
And we like to be friendly to the neighbors because our neighbors
Oh, that's right.
are friendly to us.
Right, and help us keep a watch on the place,
Yep.
because we can't be there 24/7.
Appreciate it too. Do you
Think
I
that'll
should
be it.
down there?
Thanks, Travis.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Are you gonna try to be down there?
Not at
Too?
5:50.
Okay.
I
Well,
might
we
come
can talk
down
about that.
later.
If I need to get down there, I
Okay.
will to help.
Next item on our agenda is new business. Discussion of EDC membership drive sponsorship. Larry, what do you know about that?
The EDC contacted me. They would like to know if we're interested in sponsoring their membership drive event. They have it at the Ridge Motorsports Park a couple of weeks from now, from 4 to 7 p.m. Cost is $1,000. We would get the same recognition as all the other sponsors. And you can drive on the track if you want.
I would be interested in sponsoring an event if it happened in North Mason. I am not necessarily interested in spending another $1,000 of North Mason tax dollars for a South Mason event.
I would agree with that.
I would agree with that also.
Okay.
Tell her to come up here.
Yeah.
We like them up here.
We would happily support a North Mason membership drive.
Okay. I'll pass that on.
Thank you. Anything else on that?
Nope.
Discussion of ACA locating a storage building on court property.
Where?
Yeah.
That would all be up to you.
And how big?
That would all be up to you.
What's the ask?
I think what they're looking for, they're renting a storage unit now, and I think they're looking for something about the same size.
Didn't they ask that once
They
before,
have.
long time ago?
Could be, yeah. Well, they've asked a lot of things. But, you know, like where the Oyster House is right now with all the storage in there, I don't know if we could fit another building
I
in
don't
there.
think you can fit another one. Something we talked about was maybe like right up in this corner of the fence, since it's, just right outside the door.
Oh, sure. And
So
that'd
it
be,
doesn't really get used for anything.
and that's easy in and
Doesn't
easy
get
out.
used during Allen days.
Yeah, my only fear would be, where does it end? I mean, who else do we have to give storage space to? They're
Well,
a
that's a
group
good point.
What
amongst
I
our,
would suggest is that we tell them, yeah, you can build the building here, but the port will own the building and lease it to you for $1 a year for however.
Yeah, I think that could open Pandora's box. Then
You know what?
Could
Before-
Lynch Cove Homeowners Association put a building here as well? And Beards Cove Association, and Hub, and
Well, none
Well,
of
the
them
only-
have events here.
Yeah, the only caveat would be that, is that they do
There's
have
one
events
event
here. Yeah.
is there more than one event here?
No, I mean, the Allyn Community
Allyn did.
Association host the event.
One
And-
event.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
I would want to look at their financials.
Okay.
That's what I'd want to do.
Richard was supposed to be here to do a presentation,
Well, maybe we could table it until he can come and,
but. Okay.
And then, of course, the question is, what do they need? You know, we don't know that yet. You know,
Yeah, they didn't talk about any size, they just wanted me to run it by you guys, see if you're open to the idea, and then go from there.
Okay.
so tabled till we hear back from Richard.
He was going out of town to someplace tomorrow morning, I think that's why he's not here.
Do you know how big of units they rent now? Because I think it's kind of dispersed everywhere, isn't it? Jeff, no?
I don't know, is anybody-
After they pulled up from our facility, it was more centrally located, but I don't remember what size they ended up renting.
did they use
Okay.
the storage up here?
They have two storage spaces, a small one, like a 10 by 10, and the other one is 10 by 20, I think.
Oh,
That's the one up
pretty good
here?
size then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good sized. Okay.
Next item under new business is discussion of skateboard park.
So I brought it up to Larry one day because I know we want to do the soccer park. We also all know that that's going to be quite expensive. It's going to take a while to do, and it could be years before it's actually operational. But in the meantime, there's not a lot for the youth to do in the north end. We have a basketball court here, really. And really, that's kind of about it, I think. And so I thought, you know, why don't we do something for our youth? And then he had the idea of I just had the idea, and I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't know any of that sort of thing. But he knows this, and he knows a great place to put it would be right where the kids are at. And, I mean, there's,
That's what makes them work.
yeah. And so there's places I think you could probably,
And I drove
Put it.
around Beards Cove and looked, and there's some vacant lots there. There's one lot that's got like a little playground on it, and then there's a corner lot, like within sight of that might not be a bad spot.
What about near the pool?
that's what I was thinking too, yeah.
I think the problem with that is the gate gets locked.
Not on the school
No.
property, but near the pool property?
No, and he's talking Beards Cove, because, not the school. Is that what you're saying?
Pool?
The pool, sorry, yes. Well, not near that. I don't,
Down below, right?
yeah,
But some
Yeah, that's what I
parcel
was
near the
thinking, too.
pool.
yeah.
Because that's relatively close to still.
Well, that's where that lot was that I was talking about.
Okay.
You know where the gate is for the pool?
Yeah.
It's kind of like across the street from that.
Okay,
I believe that there's lots in Beards Cove that people would like to see cleaned up, that have been kind of eyesores for quite some time. I'm thinking right there on Larson Lake Boulevard, 580 maybe? I don't know if it's,
Are the lot, would the
Oh, it would-
lots be big enough?
yeah, this is a nice big lot. and,
Okay.
I mean,
It's gonna be like a drug den, is what it's gonna be. I know nobody wants to talk about it. Remember the bike park that was down below in Lower Lynch Cove? I live right above it, and I used to stand out there nightly with a shotgun chasing people out there who were dealing drugs.
yeah.
For 15 years I fought it, finally the cops shut it down, but you put anything like that up there, the police are up in that neighborhood 24/7 chasing scumbags out there. And that's where they're gonna go, because all the kids are gonna be there, and there's gonna be, problem with that place anymore, it's 90% rentals.
Yeah.
And it's not Mason County people per se that grew up and live here and respect it. It's people from, they're just getting a cheap trailer to live in. And I think that'd be a bad hit at a skateboard park. The only thing that'd be nice is all the criminals be centrally located in one small area.
May I add,
You, I live there.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be fun. I'm gonna be having to handle it myself, and I'm not gonna be happy about it.
may I add, when we were looking at it before, we were looking at county property behind the high school and seeing if we could work out a deal there. So county still does own property behind there, school district still does, and that might be a good location, well-maintained, high visibility,
Security.
yeah,
Somebody
security,
Take care of it, because it's
Yeah.
gonna be on the residents there.
right. And you're right, because in that area, I know how it is with a small community, it's really hard.
Plus they have school security there, probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Part of what
that's
makes
what we did.
the one in Port Orchard work is the fact that it is high visibility,
Mhm.
because it's right on
London,
Lund Avenue.
and, yeah.
And
Is that a parks district owned? Is that a park district? Or do you know?
there's a
Or is
park
it city?
district that runs the park,
Okay,
and they own it.
And there's a lot of other things there. There's, in the one in Port Orchard, there's a family park there, there's
Baseball.
bicycles, trails, so there's
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of
all-
families right there. If you put it in Beards Cove tucked in somewhere, that's gonna be scumbag central. Nobody's gonna go there except the scumbags.
darn,
I'm sorry.
we want to upgrade.
Scumbag
But I like
Park.
that idea about behind the high school.
I'll be there.
Well, it was a really good location, but you know how politics go, and it was a big hurdle
So
because it was
pushed
county owned.
back.
Yeah. And we needed support, a
So
lot
maybe
more
we just
support.
need to think of some places.
Yeah.
Well, I think the
Jim
county,
and I had discussed Bill Hunter Park at one point.
well, that would be, well, that piece of
Or the
property
ones-
behind Hunter Park,
Yeah.
that place,
Yeah, but isn't that just basically a
wetlands.
water-
Wetland?
Wetland?
Or wetland?
Yeah, we'd have to find parking and,
Yeah, yeah.
We
Then you
don't
have
have to
that
have
parking
parking
issue
necessarily, do you?
across the street.
well,
at
the
QFC.
parents would have to come.
You're right.
Or what about like where the ball fields are?
At Sand Hill?
Is there a room up there?
I don't, I think it's great, but I don't know if that would be really viable as easily as near the high school, because there is so much more, and there are more teenagers, where those are grade school.
Is there a lot of residential around there?
Well, there's
There's Cove.
you mean
By
Sand Hill?
Sand Hill,
I
Or,
don't know where you're
Oh.
talking about high school.
Oh,
'Cause
well,
what-
there's
What's a real
Belltown.
critical component is for it to be within walking distance of where kids live.
the only thing
skating
that's
distance.
close is Bellwood.
True.
That's
Bellwood,
it.
yeah, that's it, I'm
it.
sorry.
Not a big
Yeah.
development.
That's the big
You're right.
issue about it.
But kids get off school and,
Well, I know, that's
Yeah.
just it,
Closer they go to school, yeah, it'll probably be about 1,700 of them there every day if they want to go to it.
right. So would you support that up at the high school if we
I'll
have?
support it anywhere except by Iowa.
Okay.
Put it right by your guys'
Now,
house,
for the
I'll
record,
support that.
your name?
Yes,
what's your-
I support it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll look into it.
All right, thanks, Gene. Nothing under old business agenda items, so we're gonna move on to public comment.
I have a request.
Sure.
Did I? Guess I gotta stand up here. During the Allyn days, we got, use of Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox, and we need a place to put it. And I thought would be nice to put it right up above the building here, right in front. I could put the, Paul Bunyan just north of the building and Babe right in front of the building. And it'd be there Friday afternoon through Sunday. And I don't think it would interfere with any of the business of the port.
take up any parking?
And it'd be very visible out there on the highway, and it's all to bring people in.
Sure.
It'll help.
So we wouldn't lose parking?
What?
We wouldn't lose parking?
Well,
Well, sure, you probably would.
it's
at
two
least one, but
trailers.
Yeah,
They're on two trailers, and you lose that much space, but they can park around it. So,
well, it's historical too, as you know. I
yeah,
mean, I'm all
and
for
there's not
history
much,
and-
well, people do crowd in and park around here during the Allyn days anyway, and but if we get it in there on Friday, why, people will be parking in around it.
Sure.
So, I think it's a good thing to have, Mason County Historical Society bought Babe and Paul Bunyan because the guy that owned it, he was very sick, and he either have to sell it or he was going to scrap it out. And it's kind of a historic marker. It was in the mid-50s. It was at Binger's gas station in Shelton for many years through the 60s, and then it disappeared. And then this guy got it and restored them both with his money, and then he was going to give it up, so we come up with the money and bought it. Right?
May I suggest to the
Yeah.
board that we try it this year?
Yeah, I
I'm
would
fine.
support that.
Okay,
And just work with Larry on placement on that Friday and
Yeah, okay.
probably, work with the ACA representative as well, since it's their event. So, I mean, I know that you're
Well,
part
I'm-
of it.
I'm
Yeah.
part of the
No, I know.
ACA,
Just as
so-
long as they're okay and
Yeah.
we're okay and we're all on the same page, I think it would be fine. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks, Del.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, Ken.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to first start, I attended the voice meeting where Lynn Logan of the EDC talked, and I suggested to her, and I'm going to suggest to you folks, that something that the port should consider with this new Mason Transit park and ride going in somewhere up there on the plateau is perhaps you could partner with the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and work towards a commuter rail line that could potentially go all the way from Shelton to the naval facilities in Bremerton and Silverdale. There's, as you know, traffic's pretty bad, but that's something that I think that the port might be able to get in on the bottom floor of, and it would be a good thing to have happen. She said that she wants to get away from bedroom communities, but North Mason's always been a bedroom community to the naval facilities up there. The other things I wanted to mention was, after that last April 3rd meeting, Director Coppola sent me a copy of the port's comprehensive scheme that I'll touch on. But first, he failed to mention the April 11th letter that he sent to the Port of Dorado. I don't know if you folks were aware that he had sent a letter to them, and I think that's what some of these folks are here to talk about. That same day, Commissioner Netherland mentioned that he met with Mr. Coppola and a representative of the Allyn Belfair, whatever they call themselves. And you mentioned, Commissioner Cooper, that you met with Commissioner Netherland. Was there a representative of the Allyn Belfair group at that meeting as well?
No, just Commissioner
Okay.
Netherland and myself.
Okay. In any case, I sent a message to Director Coppola and to the supposed director of that ABC committee, trying to figure out who all is on that committee, and I received a very rude response from him, and it's a public record since it was sent to 2 of the 3 commissioners and to Mr. Coppola. And I'd just like you to consider that before any of you have any more meetings with that individual.
Clarify, he didn't get a rude response from me.
Right.
No, I did not say that. And you directed me who you thought might be the chairman of that committee. That's what I was trying to find out. So I just would like you to consider that. And lastly, I looked at that comprehensive scheme that Director Coppola sent to me, and I think you might want to hold a public forum on that with your constituents. I went through, and you held 2 public hearings on it. There was 2 members of the public there, but there was no comments from the public. And I think there's a couple things that have changed in regards to Project 4, the soccer baseball complex, and with what's going on at the high school. Right now, they're not planning to build a new stadium, and they ran out of money on the bond, and they approved a $4 million non-voter approved obligated bond, and I think they're not going to build a new stadium. That's what it looks like. And the other thing is the Project 7, that Sweetwater Park. In your implementation strategy and your goals, you say it's revenue neutral. There's really no reason to pursue it. So anyway, thank you for your time, and look forward to.
Thanks, Ken. I think the light rail is a wonderful idea. That's something we could
Yeah.
make work.
I
I'm
think
all
it
over
would be
Yeah.
would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I clarify something
Sure.
about the comprehensive scheme also? You know, we update that once a year, and we generally work on it August, September, October, and submit it to RCO and to the state, so they know what we're planning. When we were talking about some of those things that are in there in August and September, we did hold 2 public hearings about it, but it changes from year to year, so,
Nobody's done public comment.
Right.
well,
What I'm getting at.
the public
It just
was
needs
invited to comment, nobody showed up.
I think you need to, like I said, have a forum on it with your constituents
Yep.
and talk to them.
We will.
No, that's not a
Thank
bad
you.
idea.
Earl, come on up.
Well, thank you, Port of Allyn. My name is Earl Iddings, and I'm both a half resident of the Port of Duato and Port of Allyn, and our family owns land in both. First, I want to say we haven't had this much discussion and business in the Port of Duato probably in the last 3 years is how long it's taken them to have a meeting that's only gone an hour for any discussion. So thanks, you guys run a lot better.
Thank you.
Not trying to hurt the port commissioners of Duato, but they are a lot slower and different. But I want to start off here tonight. First, I wanted to comment on your April 1st or April 3rd meeting minutes, where there was discussions between Mr. Coppola and myself on some of our commercial holdings in the Port of Allyn district. And please, take this the right direction or the right way, but I don't recall that discussion exactly being the way as it's written. It could be my memory, or it could be something. Is this the phone conversation we have to introduce us to the actual site visit that I met with you on the property, or was it the property visit?
Kind of a combination of both.
So that's kind of what I thought. Anyway, I want to make it very clear from my recollection from our meeting out at the property that I specifically noted that my commercial industrial land on Highway 3 in the Port of Allyn there off Log Yard Road would not make a suitable ball field.
Right.
It's all commercial activity, trucks, logging, chipping, it's huge. So if you want to have your kids bouncing balls around a bunch of big rigs, then I guess it'd be a great place to have a ballpark. The other thing that discussion came out of also led into some discussions about a Port of Duato. And the discussion that I had with Mr. Coppola that I remember was that there was discussions potentially trying to help the Port of Duato. Maybe help manage or help do something because they are a little unorganized. And the only thing that I warned the Port of Allyn to do was to be careful about getting involved with anything with the Port of Duato. And so here that's why I'm getting here now. I'm going to kind of back up to the history of the Port of Duato residents. As you're going to see from some of the people that are actually in this room that are long-term residents, and there's even more that couldn't make it today, but there's quite a few upset individuals out there. And the reason being is we're upgrading our comprehensive plan. And the first time this plan was actually implemented, there was no comment period. There was no community involvement. And this plan incorporates walking trails by condemning private property for mass ecotourism, giant commercial RV parks, cell towers, mini storage. Pretty much everything that the residents in Duato moved to get away from is what the commissioners adopted and pretty much made it in stone. So through this discussion process, there's been several port meetings where I was one of several citizens that stood up and said, before you adopt or amend the new comprehensive plan, you need to have a community citizen advisory board or at least several town meetings to discuss what the public wants. And this is extremely important for the port of Allyn and any other port for that, and also the port of Dewatto mainly. We do not want any more commercial economic growth and viability there. In fact, we don't even want any economic growth in Dewatto. Dewatto is a sacred little jewel at the end of, pretty much, if you go back 300 years when we started in Ellis Island, you can't go any farther than Dewatto now. So we've kind of developed everything in the middle, or skipped over it. So the biggest thing that the community down there would like to see is it being protected. Protect the citizens that live there, and you're going to be speaking with several of them that are actually here tonight. One of the biggest things we do not want is any more trouble, and the trouble is the campgrounds. The trouble is unsupervised recreational activities. We call 911, they could show up tomorrow. So, we're on our own down here, and you're going to hear from these individuals. Through this process, though, as it's come to more and more discussions, there's been a lot of graveling amongst the community as to several items that are taking place. One is, what is the Port of Dewatto going to do with the comprehensive plan? Are they going to listen to the public, or are they going to try and implement their own pet project again? So we're up in arms. We're not liking it. Two is that there's been discussions that there is potential movement from the Port of Allyn to not just only help, but the direct discussions have been made of merging or annexing with the Port of Allyn. And this was verified from the commissioners at the last commission meeting that there were discussions of annexing Dewatto into the Port of Allyn. So this brings up the question that I bring up for my next analysis is, I own property in Port of Allyn. I understand that, but it's in Belfair. There's been discussions about name changing between Allyn, Belfair, Allyn Belfair Co-op, Belfair Allyn Port, or the North Mason Port. There's been discussions by individuals. I would like to be part of that record since I have 70 acres of commercial industrial land in the Port of Allyn district. I don't want to put Belfair Industrial Park up and then find out you changed the name to the North Mason Port District, which then would also be kind of contradictory because Port of Dewatto is in North Mason, so how could you name something the North Mason Port District if the Port of Dewatto exists? So these rumblings have not just evolved on their own. So we want to know, as citizens, has there been discussions about annexing from the Port of Allyn themselves? Because the commissioners in the Port of Dewatto said, yes, that has happened. Not so much annexing was the word, merging, which if you read it in the dictionary, it's the same thing. So with that aside, moving forward, there's going to be other residents, they're going to probably come up and speak as well about their problems that they see in the Port of Dewatto. I support the Port of Allyn developing growth, working for the citizens, working for tourism. Allyn and Belfair are not Dewatto.
Sure.
But the people reside and we're all a neighbor. Belfair is far out for most people. Dewatto's just a little farther. Toohey is even farther than Dewatto. So, but moving forward, really would like to be kept in the loop. And if there's any knowledge of a citizen advisory committee, or if there is anybody trying to discuss name changing or merging, I have millions of dollars invested in here in this community. I want to know what the name's going to be. The other thing I wanted to just strictly talk about was the security at the boat ramp. So I live there at 4791 North Shore Road. I see everything, from the drug dealings to the shootings the other night to whatever it may be. To all the boats.
You tried to chase me off one day.
I did. I didn't know you were looking around the gate. Oh, sorry.
Checking the damage to the fence.
I know, it's like, I can't really shoot my guns in my house like I can in Dewatto, so, I got to be a little nicer. But there has been a lot of negative activity down there. I want to thank you by putting in the lights. It's really cut down the activity. However, the activity is getting aggressive again, and it's happening from Thursday to Saturday night from 10 to 2. And it's associated with other neighbors that are in that area, but I'm not going to point fingers, let the cops do their jobs, but just know that if there's any way to get some random patrols with the police or the security guard between 10 and 2, the last year and a half, those are the hours. The other thing is, there's been boat activity coming in to meet with those individuals. So whatever is being delivered or dropped off is being done by boat with electric motors from 10 to 2 to whoever's in the parking lot from 10 to 2.
That was actually addressed when we kind of left a notice with that guy's little thingy that he brought in.
There's been several.
And then
Yeah.
he disappeared after that.
Now he's in the Port of Dewattle.
And patrols are done Friday and Saturday through there between 10 and 2.
Thank you.
Those,
So,
that's when I do those patrols.
we see you.
But there's only so much I can do.
We see you
I
there.
come through, I drive through. By the time I leave, it's not like I can come back when I know nothing's going on. So-
Well, and ideally what needs to happen is it'd be nice to have a police officer and get a little pressure here to sit there, because it's not just the drug activity or the crazy activity. They're also going 60, 70 miles an hour around that corner.
They are.
And so there's a huge, and I've seen 11 accidents running into my fence just on that corner since I've lived there. None of them been really bad, but still, you know, I have kids, I have family, there's a lot of other family and kids there, so it'd be nice to get that presence.
Every couple of weeks, somebody comes through there and does some brodies.
Oh,
I mean, it just happens, you know.
with that being said, though, you know, I know the activity. I watch you guys help them back the people down that can't back down. I watch the boats come off the trailer because they unhook their safety strap too soon. I know that it's fun. Don't get me wrong. But there are some problems, you know, and so just putting that on the record. The last thing that I wanted to ask moving forward before the other citizens speak is that does the Port of Allyn have jurisdictional boundary? Does it go into Kitsap County? So one of the things that I think you should also put on your agenda or for discussions is we know that the bypass is going to be engineered shortly. And you're looking at buying property in Mason County at the intersection of North or Log Yard Road. My piece was one of the pieces that were in contingency for the buyout. It would make sense if you're going to invest any money into Mason County land, and there's going to be all that improvement to the intersection of Log Yard Road. One, the owners of the land up there, we do not want a roundabout. Our trucks will just blow through it anyway. They're too big.
Good point.
So, number two, if you're looking at actually starting the bypass, it should actually make sense if you could tie in the infrastructure build out that you're already doing with the already park and ride and your industrial park at that location. So Mason County as a whole and the Port of Allyn taxing district will gain from the intersection of the bypass and not almost all of Kitsap County's property.
Perfect.
So it would make your property a lot more valuable,
Good.
and people would want to rent it faster. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys want?
Next.
My name's Doug Impey. I do not own any property in Dewatto, but my dad and my brother do. They own 57 acres, and it's part of our family. We've lived there 30 years or better, and we want no economic improvement. If anything, we want to cut it back a little bit. The park is a pain in the butt. We're the first driveway past the park, so flat tires, dead batteries, too much beer, whatever it is, they come to our house. Because we got backhoes and tractors, so all of a sudden we're the fix-it guys. It's all right sometimes, you know. Nice day, you don't mind helping a guy out, but the 10 o'clock, 3 in the morning guys, the drunk guys show up. Litter, like he said, there's guys living in that campground many times a year. You go by there and you'll see the same trailer 4 weekends in a row, and it's getting more and more stuff piled up, and you have to call the police and evict them. Basically, the campground has been a cash cow. I don't know if you guys knew Chris Phelan.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good deal for her and Les. They made $7 or $8 a head in there, and I'm sure they gave a little to the poorer, but it was kind of their income they were retired. It was kind of their way just to stay busy moving around. I don't know what their finance situation was. I wasn't involved, but we did a lot of work for them down there. My dad has tractors. Me and my brother and my dad spent time down there straightening up, helping them. So it's not really like there's a bunch of money rolling through there. Maybe on a good weekend you might make $250. I'll give you $300 to not have people there. You know what I mean? It's kind of
$75 in the last 4 months of park revenue.
so yeah. So we're talking some high finances. Yeah. So I just want to stringently say, please leave it be and don't join in with now. I don't know what the port commissioner gal's name. Lynette.
Or the new one. I mean, the director or? the
Whatever.
commissioner?
I think they're all related. There's like a family that's kind of running it. that's cool, but I don't want no part of them or their clan, and they seem to kind of think they run roughshod over the whole area. Don't appreciate that, but they are kind of like Nazis on the campground, I understand. Only when it comes to collecting money, not picking up trash, not throwing scumbags out, not anything else, not the noise. We get a lot of it at our house. You can hear gunshots, motorcycles, yeah, and that's fine. But every night, all summer, it gets a little, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thanks,
Please
Doug.
consider our,
Thank you,
our
Doug.
no more growthing, is that a word?
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug.
I'm his brother and I second that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Steve Wilson. I live on North Shore Road in Duwato. And the one thing that I've noticed is not only is the litter gone up, you have people dumping their drug waste on North Shore Road. You have drugs being dealt out of boats. You have that campground, as far as I'm concerned, we ought to give the 3 acres back to whoever owns that and put a fence around it and make it a family venue for people who live in Duwato so they can go down to the river. I don't think there's any place for any growth or anything. I don't want it. I didn't move out there. I work in Seattle. I drive 2 hours each way. I don't drive 2 hours each way to go out and enjoy more storage units and people that are misbehaving and doing things to the land. I have to be honest with you, I have not seen one single person, and I've lived in the area for 12 years, do anything positive for the land who come out there for recreational purposes, for whatever purposes. I've never seen anybody do anything positive. Because of that, I'm totally against it. I don't count on the police. I know that they won't come. So I police my own area. I'm tired of hunters coming in and trying to poach deer that we have in that general area. I have blind kids, so I'm very sensitive. I'll break out my AR. You come hunting on my property, I'll figure you're shooting at me. I have no time for it. I don't want any growth. I'm tired of putting up with the crap that goes on down along the beach road.
From the clam factory back.
Yeah, from the clam factory back. We have a fair number of nutcases that live down there. We don't need any more coming in there, I'll tell you. And so I'm totally against it.
Is the clam factory that building on the spit there?
It's actually the oyster,
Oh, the old
whatever
oyster
it was.
house,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and it's private property, I
Yeah.
guess, so we have no jurisdiction or no, but
Minky
needless to
owns
say, I'm totally against it. I want to be left alone. I moved out there for privacy, and I don't have problems with my neighbors, but I do have problems with people that are coming in there, so.
Appreciate your input.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to address any of that?
Yeah.
Oh, we've got
actually,
Gene, we've got one more, Gene. Hi, Gene.
I didn't come here intending to speak. I'm Jean Bray from Duwato. And anyway, I will just say that the letter, as Larry's letter, which was written, was photocopied and provided to all the persons that attended the last port meeting. And it was read as aloud for the record as per his request. And I wanted to reread it and maybe bring it this evening, but that just didn't occur. But,
I have a copy of it here. I'll read it if you'd like.
oh, all right. Yes, I don't know, but maybe the other people, it doesn't matter. Maybe you would like to do it for your own edification too. But at any rate, what I would say is that a lot of the things people have been discussing up here, or whatever, happened before Mr. Coppola's tenure at the Port of Allyn, with the collaboration between the two ports and stuff that has just, his colleagues has gone on and stuff, and so that it wouldn't be just attributed to, say, a executive director of the Port of Allyn or any other commissioners. And it's just that the Port of Duwato is such a smaller tax base than the Port of Allyn is, that has contained in its tax district, and that we can't really afford to have some of the things that the Port Commissioners of the Port of Dewatto would like to do always. So that's what I had to say.
Thanks, Gene.
Thank you, Jean.
We got one more coming up. Oh, no, he's going to the bathroom.
Actually, I want to, if I can
Yeah,
just-
come on up, Earl.
and I want to finish on Gene's comment. We're confused. There's discussions. There's no discussions. Where does it fit? Please just put this down. We are not in favor, and I don't think you would probably get more than 10% or even less of the community that would even support an annexation. Don't even know if it's even part of your agenda. There's rumors. We wanted to address them before they came fact, because what we have already had happen to us, we also were told it's just in discovery, we're just coming up with ideas, and then before we know it, we have a comprehensive plan that's allowed all this to go through, including part of it was the Mankey property, a commercial boat ramp. You can't even go out and catch a crab there today, let alone try and publicize it. So please try and keep economic growth out of our area, because what we're prepared to do is turn it around and get new people elected, and we're going to put the growth in your backyard.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Earl.
Thank you, Earl.
Go
Okay,
ahead, Larry.
this is a case of no good deed goes unpunished. Okay? Your executive director has called us, I don't know how many times. What do I do about this? What do I do about that? How do I handle this? How do I handle that? What do we have to do about that? And we've tried to help. Talked to her on the phone and whatnot. She calls Washington Ports Association. I talked to them. They said, yeah, she calls us a lot too. And I'll just leave it at that.
She calls everyone but the people that live there.
I don't know if she
That's
ordered
that's between you
Oh, yeah, I
and,
get it.
and them. It doesn't have anything to do with us. So anyway, one day she was having some kind of meltdown about something, and she called here. So Leanne and I said, would you like us to come out there and see if we can help? Said yes. So we drove out there. During our discussion, she spent a lot of time talking about the one commissioner that was not related to her, since the other commissioner had resigned. And then the commissioner that is related to her came to bring her lunch. So we sat there and we talked, mostly listened to them complain about the other commissioner. And the idea of a merger came up not from us. So I'll just leave that right there. You all can figure that part out.
We could have an emergency vote this
Running
Thursday.
right now.
Roger that. We'll handle
That was the end of the discussion. I came back and talked to each one of these commissioners individually, and they're like, not only no.
We can finish there.
So,
I wouldn't be for it personally either. I think it's
That's how
important.
we feel about our commissioner. It's HE.
and now there's another question that came up. So the one commissioner that wasn't there asked me about our pay station at the North Shore. And it's been a very successful thing for us.
Very helpful.
So I told him, if you'd like, I'll find out if you could put one there, because I know it works on cell service, and there's no cell service there. So phone call was made to the phone company there. I called the vendor for the machine and said, there's no cell service, how does that work? Is it possible to put one there or not? He said, yeah, you gotta have a DSL line. We called the phone company there. They said, we didn't know this. But the phone company called back and said, yes, we can put a DSL line there. I told the other commissioner, that was the end of it. There was no letters written, there's no email, the whole thing was a phone call. That was it.
Ted came here and talked to you that one day.
Yeah, he came here and talked to me for 3 hours one day. like I wrote in the letter, we're not out there lurking, waiting to jump on your port district and take it over and rain economic development down on you. We don't want
Try a little
anything
cash
to do
cow.
with it.
Yeah, $75 from the campground, doesn't
Well, you know,
That's the one,
what
that's
Ted
what she
was,
turned in, I guarantee you. There's
what
100 shipping
what
costs.
Ted was thinking was that if there was money being, you know, going through that campground, he wanted somebody to be accountable for it.
Exactly.
That was the idea of the machine.
They collect nightly by hand, cash only, and then they head out of the valley. They don't even live in Nevada.
Yeah, well, see, you know, we put the pay machine out there, it just takes credit and debit cards, and we went from handling a lot of cash, not even a lot of cash, but, you know, handling cash, to handling almost none out there.
Are your cameras functioning out there, or are they just dummy cameras?
Oh, of course they're functioning.
Because I see the wire unplugged and hanging there, and I'm like, well, that's not gonna be.
So
It's a deterrent.
I'd like to add also,
We would like to get cameras out.
my family has oystered out in Duato for a very long time. Duato is beautiful and pristine, and when Larry talked to me about it, we haven't talked about it as a board at all. First, I'll tell you that. But when Larry talked to me, I was absolutely against that. I understand how beautiful Duato is, and if I lived out there, I would want the same thing that you want. And so, I would say absolutely not.
In the letter that I wrote out there, I said there's some misconceptions about all this. But misconception number 3, while Washington ports are primarily charged with bringing economic development and jobs to their district, that isn't their only purpose. In many small communities like Duato, the port is the glue that binds the community together to achieve its goals. In the case of Duato, it was obvious from the forum that one of those goals would be to help protect the quality of life the residents originally moved there for. On the other hand, the port's ability to secure grants and low-interest loans could be instrumental in achieving beneficial community outcomes, like construction of the helipad so many residents spoke of at the forum. You know, that's the kind of thing your port can do for you. And, you know, but the bottom line there is there's no benefit to the Port of Duato residents to agree to be annexed into the Port of Allyn, nor any benefit for the Port of Allyn to initiate such a move. And I said I'd welcome the opportunity to come to one of your commission meetings and answer any and all questions from your community so we can put the misconception to rest once and for all.
Again?
Could I ask a quick question? Mr. Capoli, you said you met with each of the commissioners individually. Why didn't you do it and bring it to a public meeting?
I felt like if they wanted to pursue such a thing, that public meeting would be the place to do that, but that if they didn't want to pursue it, it was obvious to me after watching the video that you recommended I watch, that the people in Duato didn't want anything to do with it.
But isn't it a serial meeting? You meet with each one individually?
Not really.
I didn't give any input.
No,
Okay.
It was just informational.
And where we're
my
at is
opinion.
we're taxing ourselves to bring in outside people that are not appreciating our community so that 2 or 3 people can have jobs. And there are a lot of residents that don't know why this makes sense because we are not going to be in the economic growth and viability part of being a port. But we still probably want to keep our protection of maybe being the port so that we have a better say than just being rural Mason County with really no vote other than what the commissioners in Mason County want to do. But there's a stigma here right now. Why are we paying taxes for a select few to have jobs, good paying jobs, that are asking you guys how to do them, and at the same time, bringing in all the people that we don't want, and abusing the resources.
Might I suggest that one of you run for port commissioner out there?
I don't-
I got no time for politics.
Have you got the 3rd one in yet?
There's 3 Duato commissioners?
Yes.
She hasn't been born yet.
Yeah, sure, just as long as chosen is actually Ray Moe.
Oh, yeah.
For the-
Ray who?
for the-
Ray Moe, he's an architect.
How many districts are in Duato? It's only about
There's
3.
4 miles long.
With the press here and everything, especially, and also, as long as we're all gathered here, I was gonna say that I was not there for this portion of the meeting either, but, as coincidence, it was a sheer coincidence about the fact that there was the Hill report brought up in a very hopeless letter, and then, and this might not be a great thing to go in the newspaper, but at any rate, previous, well, let's see. Okay, as it so happens, it's just pure coincidence, but a person was there on part of the Pacific Northwest Salmon Center, Monica Harrell, and she talked about how they would like to see a heliport go in. They're looking into certain sites to foster interest in heliport, and she came and spoke in the public comment part of the meeting. And as a coincidence, Monica Harley is the council commissioner for
Duato.
Too, for Duato.
Why are the salmon people interested in the heliport?
In order to finish their Tahuya Bridge project, they have to remediate the existing helipad, and they're hoping to transfer it up. So then it wouldn't be a tax burden to the citizens of Duato to have a helipad there. They would be actually
Where's the helipad now?
right there, that gravel lot next to the,
Oh,
Fire
bridge.
station?
no, right across over to the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Case-
What's wrong with that?
So could I recommend that maybe we offer up, once the commission's been set at the Port of Duato, that we have a joint meeting to clear up some misconceptions, and they can ask us the questions they have, and I think things got, through rumor mill, and things got a little beyond what they were.
As a family out there, I'm not saying any names, but they've kind of weaseled their way into some type of leadership in the middle of a chaotic situation. And they know most people there don't want any part of meetings like this or people asking, they just want to be left alone. So they've manipulated their way around everything and they don't keep nobody informed. I've never had that lady talk to any of us.
But I think it would be a good idea.
It would be great.
I'd be happy to
I
have
think it would be a fantastic.
a joint meeting at the Port of Duato
We
building.
can put a sign up and tell the locals, because they're
Yeah.
like, didn't you check your email? I said, hell, I ain't got no email.
What I'm interested in doing for the Port of Duato is helping you in achieving whatever it is that the community wants. I mean,
That'd be cool.
that's what I'm interested in doing. If
Sounds like we're all on the
a,
same page, basically.
Yeah.
if it's help with management, if it's help with,
We'd like to keep the community center. We'd like to see, it's actually disaster center. We actually have a full disaster
Yeah.
center plan there. We've used it twice, the 07 floods and the
Great.
fire. We would like to actually see our tax dollars go into enhancing the survival of the community there. We would actually like to see the helipad, maybe some emergency fire gear. We went through the academy trying to do that, but I'm not living there full time, so
Right.
I can't really help out much there. But there are some good ideas that can be done. But the biggest thing is the support from any, even Mason County or the state. The Port of Duato residents do not want to see any growth in economic viability there. We want to see it protected. It's the end of the road. It's the end of the United States as it goes.
so at the end of today's meeting, we will discuss, under continuance, we will discuss setting up, we'll have Larry call, is it Leanna?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leanna.
Yeah, you
Try-
can call her first.
Try to set something up.
She calls you twice a week.
And who's the board chair?
Probably just.
Lynette, and I can call her and reach out as board chair to board chair, and, yeah, and just see if we could,
Weird.
I think some things need to be cleared up and it's a public meeting, so you guys should all come and hear what there is to be said, and leave it at that. Yeah, thank you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
thank
May
you.
I just make one suggestion?
Sure.
You can tell me to pound sand.
No,
and go
I
back
won't
to
do it.
Duato, because I will. But it seems to me that you have a pretty meager turnout at your meeting, and part of the reason I feel it is because it was at 6. You might want to consider having your meetings later.
Okay,
Now
thank
you
you.
can tell me to pound sand. and go
No,
back to
thank you.
Duato.
Get back into the photo,
Okay.
work on your heliport.
Jeff?
You've got a beautiful community here,
Oh, thank you.
and it sounds like you've got a great port here.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Jeff Carey. Couple things. One is, last meeting, I talked about the tip caps. Transportation Improvement Committee is out trying to find out projects for different other port districts and EDC and others. And we're still continuing to try to solicit that. So if there's something from the Port of Allyn, get it down to County Public Works and so we can look at it. We do have an annual review in, I want to say July and August, where we look at one-year transportation improvement projects for the next year, as well as then the next 6 years. But we review it every year in the July and August time frame. So if there's things, projects, please bring that to it. I also got an email from one of the consultants that was doing the study for Allyn's local roads. They're going to have I believe on the 11th, isn't it? I think it's 11th of May downstairs here, kind of a community
Who's putting that
open
on?
house.
Who's putting that
The county, but I don't know who the consultant is they hired,
on? Okay.
Mason County.
Do you know what time?
I can't remember.
Okay. All right.
I got the email, but I can't remember. I wasn't expecting it. Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as from the tip caps committee's point of view, an understanding, I should say, is that Belfair will be following after that here in the summer months. Because they have a fairly snug window of working. So the first project they're working is Allyn, smaller overview and what have you. Whereas they are spending more money, more time will be in the Belfair area. So if ours is taking 4 or 5 months, they're going to probably try to wrap up Belfair by the end of this year, or maybe as early as October, but somewhere in there. So that will be coming, and that's another thing that the port should be at least aware of and what have you. You mentioned on the just a question, and you may not know this, on your accounting, the one thing the port strived to do once upon a time was to try to get finally where we had the ability to look at years past so we could compare.
Right.
When you guys convert, will you still have that capability of looking back, or is
Yes.
it? Okay, good, because then you're flying blind, and
Yeah.
and then you don't know where you are relatively. On the, I got 2 more points.
Sure.
On the public record software, first of all, I'm in favor of having that kind of type of mechanism. But from my standpoint, minutes and agendas and all that are really easy to put in because they're already online and what have you. But for the sake of budgets, I would have no problem, personally, I'd have no problem where you just scan in the things that people are requesting, and then because that's literally, most of the time, what's going to be wanted to be looked up anyway at some point in time. So, all I'm saying is I don't want to see the port spend a bunch of money to scan in a bunch of records that maybe somebody might look at. I mean, it's nice that they're there, it's convenient that it's there, and I can appreciate that. But maybe the things like your comp plan and things like that, they get scanned in and they're there. But let people make the request. When they make the request, have a process, and then get that part scanned in and leave it that way. In other words, don't go for the whole kit and caboodle, because you got a lot of records.
Yeah.
And records, can drive you nuts when you're trying to do that. So, I mean, I'm just mainly trying to say, as a taxpayer in Allyn, it's, in this port district, I'd like to see you have that, just like I'd like to see you have this camera thing where you're recording meetings. I'd like to see the same thing with records, but just scan the ones that you're being requested, as a thought. And then last but not least, even though I'm not that old, or at least I don't think I'm that old, from a historical point of view, and I can appreciate now that I hear this side of it from the standpoint of Duwato, the Port of Duwato versus the Port of Allyn as far as what's going on. From a kind of a stand back and look at point of view, In a weird way, this is like deja vu all over again in a different way with the Port of Tahuya. And as a taxpayer of Port of Allyn, just stay clear. You know, personally, personal observation, Port of Tahuya was not ready for prime time. And they got it all messed up, they got the whole community all screwed up, and then everybody was, upset at everybody. And I don't want to see that, I don't want to see the Port of Allyn in the mid, even on the certain sides of it, not, let alone the middle of it, and they don't deserve it. And if they want the Port District created, if they don't, there's a process. Just like, for creating it, or whatever. So just as many of you know, at least from what I saw from my father and my other brother go through with the Port of Tahuya, just, stay clear of it, because there is a difference of what people are looking for. In the case of the Port of Tahuya, it was much like Duwato, there wasn't a lot of people there. Most of the people that came in there were summertime people. They didn't even have a vote, even on the whole thing. And so, and a lot of people, again, it was kind of their way. They wanted to be out there. They really didn't want a lot. Just wanted to be left alone and move ahead. And I can understand that, and that's their right and what have you. So stay clear. That's my only thing.
Thanks, Jeff.
I have one more question about your computer things. I'm very computer not savvy, but is there any way you can utilize the high school computer classes to input your information? There's probably software that you could buy cheap, give it to the high school and have them implement it, and they could probably kill two birds with a stone, give them a little experience inputting professionally, and get it for free, since we're already paying for it.
Intern, yeah.
All right.
Just that, thank you.
Jeff, I do have a question about projects for TIPCAP. How do I get them to you? Do I get them to you?
Just send them to Loretta
Okay,
Swanson.
good, yes.
But if you're having trouble, just go ahead and email.
No, I see her on.
Jeff can
Yeah,
go.
I'll take it to her.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Going to move on to continuance. We are going to schedule a workshop, which would be a budget workshop. And,
Literally.
yes, literally.
I'm gone right here.
And we have when's our conference? 17th, 18th,
17,
19th?
18, 19, and yes, I'm going.
16th, the night, we'll go over the night of the 16th, then 17th and 18th.
What about in here?
And I am going for sure. I
Yeah.
thought I told someone that, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I'm
am going to
going.
be there for sure, so,
Both-
yeah,
okay,
you
so
can
I'll
register
get
me.
you registered
Yes.
tomorrow.
What about this week right here?
Yeah, we probably want to do it that week, because the
What
following weekend is Memorial Day, and then we're at the end of the month.
Right,
So
right,
if
right.
we
What
are
week?
to do it in May, the 22nd through the 26th,
Okay, sure, I'm wide open, I think.
and we've determined that,
The 25th is the EDC membership drive.
okay.
Are we
And
not going to go to that, though? Are we going to?
Well, we're not going to
We're not
sponsor
gonna-
it.
We're not going to sponsor it,
I
but are
was
you
gonna
going to
go.
go? Okay,
Okay, so.
Fridays are out for all of us.
Yes.
So that leaves the 23rd and the 24th. What was Monday?
22nd.
But was there a reason we couldn't do it on Monday?
no,
Okay.
it's
I'm
just
good
that
on
I have
Monday.
something going on, but what
You're
else is
okay for
new?
Monday? I'm okay for Monday,
Okay,
6 o'clock Monday.
I could even do it earlier if you wanted. Oh, you
I
don't get off
can't.
work, that's right, okay.
Gotta
So,
fight
so
the
6 o'clock,
traffic.
the 22nd,
okay.
here,
Yes. And then
workshop,
I will reach out to Lynette.
yes.
Is that her name?
What's Lynette's last name?
McLean,
McLean.
MCL, EL,
I pushed for impeachment.
And then Larry will reach out to
And
Leanna. I get those two confused.
They've been around here a long
Yeah,
time.
and then we'll maybe shoot for something in June that works for everybody?
Oh, for both
For
Duwato and
a,
us?
for a joint meeting?
yeah,
Okay, June for what? For a meeting?
For a joint meeting with Duwato?
You want to mention it to him, maybe?
So for the audience, we are full for May, so the soonest we could do a meeting, a joint meeting would be later in the month in June after our regular meeting, but we'll make sure that it's, I will contact the board chair. Larry will contact the director of DeWato, and then the purpose of the meeting will be to have the public in to discuss.
Yeah, if you give us a couple weeks, we'll hang up a couple signs. A lot of guys don't even have phones out there. We
Yeah.
need a sign at this community meeting about our rights. They'll be,
Who can we use as a point of contact?
Use the executive director.
Yes.
No,
No, well,
joint member for both Port Allen and Port of.
our director will contact Leanna,
use the one that they hate.
and we will have,
Commissioner
Make sure-
that they complain about.
and we'll announce
use
it.
that.
So if you can, check our website, we'll announce it. And if they have a website, we could ask that they put it on there too,
They do.
Who has a website?
Yeah.
Port of DeWato.
Porta
Yeah,
Duaro.
Port of DeWato has
Fort
one.
Waldo has a website?
I think there's
Looks
Nothing
suspiciously
further?
like our-
I think that's it.
Nothing further? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Appreciate your input.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.